The result has been that the quiz that I wanted to do for Warpstock kind of slipped at the side of the road. There's one person here that's not allowed to participate. He's sitting there with his arms crossed. Tom Heite, he made some of the questions. So the jury rules you out to participate. I was planning on giving people a URL that they could participate in the quiz. I found a online program, a website that enables you to create a quiz, but judging by how many people do not have a laptop with them or a tablet, how many people here have a pen and a piece of paper with them, because then it's just back to good old analog paper. Now, I created this quiz because every year at Warpstock US that I've attended, there was another prize raffle. So we got another box of Visual Age and we got another box of Mesa software, and everybody that still wants to have the software already has it. So I decided that the winner of the quiz would just have eternal fame stuck to his name and mentioned in the Warpstock famous gallery people. But Jan van der Heijden came up with a couple of extremely interesting OS2 attributes that I do not think are very common, like this original Team OS2 elephant with an OS2 saddle on its back, and this cool OS2 t-shirt from Team OS2. Sorry? Oh, jacket, sorry. So, first of all, the question is for the people that want to participate in this quiz with some questions regarding OS2. People would need to have a pen and a piece of paper if you don't have a laptop with you. I will post the URL to the quiz on the IRC channel as well, so that the other people can participate as well. I'm now just thinking of the logistics. If somebody wins the elephant online, we would need to ship it to him. But okay, so the quiz has been kind of heavily improvised. Again, we don't have a bunch of pen and paper here handy. Other people have a mobile phone. It's a multiple choice question list of 25 questions. I have not even tested how it's going to work with 25 people. I haven't had the time for it. I've had it standing on my to-do list for the last 2 months, but getting everything done here took more time as usual than expected. So what I'll do is I'll post the URL on my laptop so that you can go to it. We'll start at the same time. I guess it will probably take about 15 minutes, and then we'll see who the winner is. And if we have a tie break, I don't even know what to do, so maybe we have to cut the elephant in 2 parts. Oh, that is? That's what I was thinking. I know that he wants to have a mascot for OS2, and this is a very original one. I've never seen it. So, one moment. Let me please switch first of all my laptop to the beamer, because then the people that want to participate with the quiz that do not have a laptop with them can do it on paper, and then other people can type it over. I'm sorry, it's a pretty lengthy URL, but it doesn't have any hexadecimal strings in it, so please bear with me as I reboot my laptop and put it on the beamer then. Who, by the way, does not have a pen and paper that wants to participate with this quiz? Everybody's equipped who doesn't. There is probably a pen and paper here. Maybe some other people can swap some pens and pencils.
Anybody want a pen and pencil? I have some.
took a while to wake up.
Volume 5 of the title. Oh, this is 2001.
I'm waiting for letters too.
Up to Z, and then it stops.
A, Z, A.
Hey, snap. Snap, snap. No, you didn't double click. Oh, yes, you did.
I know the desktop represents my brain, it's a mess. I know.
Your brain fit on screen.
If you squish it. That's it.
No, we're not there yet.
Oh,
I don't know if people can, what I'll do is I'll post it to the, I post the link to the IRC channel.
Nobody uses IC.
no.
No, but there are some people on the IRC channel there.
Yeah, 4.
Yes, so?
They're not here.
Oh, I thought Martin was there.
Yeah.
He's not going to win it.
No, it's not there, it's here. In German, that's true. Right.
This is called improvisation, sorry.
See how many people type a one from that one to the other before they realize that it's an L.
Ever heard about typing URL?
Yeah, that's a valid one. After the ampersand, watch it, that's an L, of course, not a
In
1.
language.
Yeah, okay. By the way, if people want to think that this quiz will remain online, it will sadly disappear because I see somebody in the back writing down the URL on paper, but it's gonna go away in a couple of days because I have to cancel the subscription. They're charging 13 euros a month for it, so.
Oh, we're on the test and try it for 2 days free of charge.
No, they didn't even have that. You had to pay for it. Yeah,
Go. Yeah. Now, player make a quiz for free.
Anybody who wants to have pen and paper has it? Sorry.
Would you have to play example quiz?
Sorry?
I'm getting this generic page. Yeah, that's me too. The generic page.
Wait a minute. It says here.
Wat was het nummer?
The generic page.
That is the URL, right? I pasted that one.
That's the one that's going to take
No,
you to a generic
stop
page.
You pasted one in the endless bar.
Try once more play, we'll give you another set of questions. Hold on. Well, this one here, you have to tell it which quiz you want. I don't know how to do that.
Because
That's just going to take you to generic.
Oh, je hebt het adres geplakt boven in de adresbar. En dat is alleen van deze pagina.
Niet van de quiz zelf.
And then stands to play without an account.
Rechtsklikken, locatie kopiëren en dat in de...
yes, look at the bar at the bottom there. Look at it. It's the same.
False.
Oh, yeah.
Play with an account, that's it.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, somebody's correct. Sorry,
Of this page.
I pasted the wrong URL.
Oh.
Hoezo? Ik krijg
I
het
just
zo.
finished it. Jij krijgt ook een ding waar je play.
Ik krijg dat te zien op het scherm.
Oh, okay.
Maar je moet toch gewoon op play without an account.
Yeah. If you click here with play without an account, then the quiz will start.
Well.
Ja, zo wat is de URL.
That was just on the screen for 2 minutes.
Ja, I was typing it and you could do
Oh.
it away.
Create a free quiz. Well, engage. Example quiz.
Ben, this was the URL that was on the screen.
Yeah. With telephones, I think it's using a different.
Oh, does it redirect?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me they use a different screen for your.
Yeah, on a laptop, but not on a mobile phone.
It's probably mobile sensitive.
It works on nobody their mobile phone. They just redirect to a different page.
Well, you get this standard thing, and then you can select.
Ja, ja. Maar dat wil ik niet gelegitimeerd.
Yeah.
Why do you put it in Google?
I didn't. I tried to completely. And this is what they came up.
Oké. Je krijgt een vraag, je krijgt een 3. Dit is niet een complete quiz.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Try this URL, please. It's a different one.
Time starts again.
I guess it's a different URL. The other one was wrong. Sorry about that.
I saw one starts.
It was incorrect. It pointed to an unfinished quiz. Sorry about that.
Get it encumbered.
Safety in numbers, so we can vote on which is the right answer.
No, we get a consortium up to get.
That's all great power.
Well, actually, there's an
Yeah, I can't think of it.
the intelligence of crowds, but,
Yes,
and
that's
there's
it.
an example, the first time that it was done was, BC. Somebody was so many bricks high with the wall so that they could escape, from Spartans. And they averaged the, answers.
Yes, it's interesting, divided by the number of people that
And that's how tall the ladder was.
Everybody has been able to type over the URL?
This is the test. You've got to be able to type the URL and you win another one.
Yeah.
we will have dyslexic fingers.
But it is fun.
When you code in, you have dyslexic.
How's your eyesight?
Eyesight, very good.
Well, I can't see what I've done. I haven't got
Yeah, I see the slashes.
Sorry? Is it that bad? What do you mean save the results?
Time's up.
Has everybody typed the URL over? Oh.
We've got a committee typing the URL over here and we're not getting through. But that, does that network work?
Oh, is your network on? Yeah, well, you've got to put your network on.
I think it is on. No, it's gone away. Yeah, that's the one. It was up, I was on it.
Oh, I know, then you're.
Everybody has pencil and paper ready? We hebben een pen hier.
You now have a pen, return it. Thank you. I'm just gonna
Sit down,
watch.
wash your hands.
You may have to do the old Control Plus routine to get this thing to where somebody can read, but we'll find out in a moment.
That better?
Yeah.
We'll find out once it starts.
Five, three, two.
Happy New Year. Back in the DOS days, where were the two competing utility suites, like the Norton Utilities and PC-DOS? Likewise, what were the two main utilities for OS2? What was their name? The Graham Utilities and the Gamatech Utilities? Ja, ja. Ik geef mensen de tijd om het te schrijven.
Time's up.
Oh, ik doe dat.
En ik heb nog een andere vraag voor je.
You didn't put them in the same order either.
Yeah.
There will be a challenge.
We'll just start again. What are the names of the two principals behind Serenity Systems? Who started it? I'll just pick a random guess here.
Just pick the first one.
1, 2, or 3.
Here we go, 5 to go.
Running for 10 seconds.
Write down the answer, not the number, please, because it will.
They recognize.
Ah, also that. Oh, great.
As soon as you go Grasho, if you don't.
Time's up.
Still, I clicked it.
Yeah, it was counting down.
I clicked on it.
Still counting that, thank you.
Yeah,
I clicked on the answer. Sorry, here we go again. Third time's the charm. Oh, there it is again. Okay. You had that one already with the Gamatech Utilities.
Yes, and the Uniman was at the bottom, so we.
Okay, I'll click it now so that it goes on to the next question. What are the names of the two print? Oh, and it now only has 10 seconds. Great.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
What?
Okay.
This is going to be fun.
Do elephants to go to the cafe? There's no good
Is that it online?
Yeah, I know.
Thought so.
Yeah, we did this tomorrow. Emergency case, 6 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, but be careful with that, he'll hack the answers.
Actually, it's explaining that the answer.
One more time.
2 hours. This number is too big. Please enter a new number.
Unlimited precision arithmetic required.
One break in space, what was that? Please. Oh, I thought it was going to start countdown for 600,000.
Oh.
Hey, we haven't seen this one.
What's the code name for Warp Server for e-business? Mars, Supernova, or Aurora?
Yes, it is. I'll do Control Plus, that's the people at the back. Yeah. Walk, yeah.
Which version of OS2 contained the first contained HPFS file system? I still don't like that clock counter counting down and that blue bar going away.
It's total time that you have.
Then the blue bar also keeps going.
Yeah, right. It's an optical illusion.
It's a progress indicator.
Oh, I had a right guess. Oh, there it's again. Okay. You had that one already. How many DOS call versions does OS2 have, excluding the DBCS versions?
Yeah. You've got three possible answers. Take your choice. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
No, three.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I'll do the next one. Who was the CEO of the... Oh, it doesn't do them in order. There was a company that made Stardock.
Oh, yeah.
That made Object Desktop for OS2.
Okay.
Who was the last kernel developer at IBM? And yes, these are all IBM OS2 employees. They all worked on OS2.
Simon and Garfunkel?
Shh, quiet noisemaker.
No, he's a voice maker, not a noise maker.
Yeah, that's...
I'm waiting for you to press it and watch the score go up. Oh, that was the wrong one then. You got 2 left up.
What's the name of the predecessor of Snap that IBM bundled with OS2? GenGrad, Cytec Display Doctor, Panorama, or Screen01? What does the Win32k.sys drive do in OS2? It provides Odin a way to manage memory. It modifies the loader in the kernel to load PE files. It extends the kernel to load Windows drivers.
The correct answer is it allows you to use greater than 8 characters for your
Or any other answer you can think of.
Or as Leisure Suit Larry always had, all of the above.
Yeah.
That's long ago.
Yeah, when he was still young.
Yeah, well, I was still young.
Which version of OS2 first contained support for multiple CPUs? Which one?
Wow. Yeah, that's a different one. So Warpstock 2018, we'll get the answers.
They were just finished it.
Well, the answer is Warpstock Toronto's endorsement.
Yeah.
In which year was OS2 1.0 released?
Year 0.
That's the first PC.
Oh, I was a bit too enthusiastic there. 1968?
That was, I think, when the first PC.
Well, probably the first mainframe was able to fit in the size of a living room, probably.
No, the first PCs were later than that. They were about
Time of the mobile.
84, 83.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, we'll know that someone so you can mark it and get rid of it.
What is the maximum amount of CPU cores that the SMP kernel supports?
The rest don't care.
And it has been a rumor, but I've never been able to fully confirm it, but supposedly IBM had a system with which they could test all of these cores. I later talked to an IBM engineer and he said that's not true. So it remains an urban myth. IBM used the code name for versions of OS2 in development like Merlin for version 4. Which version had the code name Ferengi? I can tell you, I talked to some of the OS2 developers over the years, and some of them were real Star Trek Trekkies, so they liked it very much. So a lot of stuff. That's what put IBM into jeopardy, literally, when they used the term warp, they had to pay Paramount a pretty large amount of royalties for that, since it was a registered trademark.
Actually, I think they got around it because they said that's why they had the warp. That's why they did the warp thing, is so that they were, it was a warp logo.
I thought I heard rumors they had to pay about $10 million in settlement, but I could be wrong.
Well, they might have ended up having to pay a settlement, but that's why they did that, so they wouldn't have to pay royalties to use the name on it.
When was the first Warpstock ever held? Oh, by the way, and here's a typo, Warpstock US, that is, United States.
It's still the first Warpstock.
Yes,
Doesn't matter where.
There's also a version of the question where Warpstock Europe was held, so.
The point being is that you don't have to say US, because that's just what it was, so.
Which version of OS2 first contained the JFS file system? Which one came first? What was the nickname for the server IBM used for exchanging test versions of products? It was always referenced in Warpcast messages that were sent out by the OS2 super site. Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. From which product was the Warp Center derived in Warp 4? The bar at the bottom of your screen. If people don't know what I'm referring to with smart guides, I always call that the little yellow fellow. When you run Warp 4, you get this yellowish screen over some of the help sections with very bad looking graphics on VGA, and there are these yellow little comic clouds that come out. Those are the smart guides that were built into Warp 4. The company that made the word processor describe also made a spreadsheet program. What was the name of the spreadsheet program? What? The IBM chief engineer that later founded his own company for virtualization software. What is the name of that company?
Yeah, well, the question should just be before this.
Yeah, but the software mixes them up. Yeah, well, one hint is Innotech drops off. Well, they actually did a virtual machine, so, but it's not in relationship. What was the original name of the OS2 boot manager? It actually had a predecessing name.
Now, this is going to be a difficult one to switch out. Come on. It's going to be Mrs. Yes.
There, that's fixed. Which version of OS2 contained the first presentation manager? What is it? At least it's multiple choice, so
Yes, I know.
wrong.
It's the way you're hovering above certain ones. Should I choose this one?
How many OS2 loader versions does OS2 have? Not counting the Arca OS loader.
Not enough. We've only got 3,169 minutes to go.
Well, then we'll do the next Warpstock. You can stay here in the room free of charge.
Not six.
When was the first Warpstock Europe ever organized? Shh. I'm hoovering all over on them. So.
Yes, you're trying to fool me, but it doesn't help. I'm already fooled.
Yeah.
You're beyond
Already a fool, yeah?
you're beyond mental salvation. OS2 boot Snoop LST lists what?
Sounding record Snoopy Dog made.
Which company made Object Desktop? Ah,
Oh. Take one and three away. Then do number two away.
Just so you know, that was keyed wrong on the side.
sorry?
The correct answer is when you click on it.
Oh, okay. Poof.
And you're number six.
One good.
Play again.
You have a lot to learn.
Jan Erik, you're second, so no elephant. Where's he hiding? I've got no.
He's behind the answers.
He's going to get the elephant.
Who did the quiz on paper completely?
How many correct answers is that?
You just divide by 400. The right answer is 400.
Actually,
There's a score on the right.
I'll get back to the quiz later. Who was next on the schedule? Yuri. Where's Yuri Dario? You still had a presentation on e-styler.
Okay. I'm sorry about the lines on the background. I don't have them in OS2 and Windows, but I have to use this one. Okay. This presentation is about Styler. Probably you know eStyler Lite, which was bundled with Ecom Station, or you know also Smart Windows, which is the full product. And I worked on this program to make some enhancement and to have a better graphics output. Okay, so we have a better looking application on OS2. So, okay, I'm skipping this one. So here you can see how the title bars were painted in the past. With the first, we have OS2 2.0. Then there is the first one is Warp 3. Okay. Then there is a screenshot with Warp 4 and a screenshot with Ecom Station. Okay. The first two screenshots were done without enhancers, while Ecom Station was running the eStyler Lite enhancer. And you see that the title bar has a different font, has a centered text, has a different background. Okay. And this was the starting point from where I started working. And then with the use of Cairo, which is a graphics library, now we have a completely different result. Probably you don't really see how a text is getting better now because the text is too small to see aliasing, okay? But on your display, it makes a really big difference, okay? And usually, to get a better, good-looking text, you need a good font. So, for example, if you use an old Arial, for example, is not good. You need to use newer fonts because they are getting better with free type. Also, with Cairo, you can use UTF-8 to show titles in the title bar. So, for example, when you use Firefox to browse a site, for example, in Russian, now you have, in the title bar, you can see an underline because he has replaced the text with nothing. But with Styler, the new Styler, you can see the real text in Russian characters. And this works for every existing application. So you don't need to change application to use this new feature. Also, this has been the first thing I did on Styler, so to get title bars with a better looking. Then I started looking at code, and I tried to do something more. And after working on title bars, I worked on push buttons. Okay. On the left, you see a standard push button, and on the right, there is one with anti-aliasing. Okay, and you see the text is looking much better. I think you can see. Do you see from the because? Okay. So those are the two kind of controls that I have replaced in drawing. Okay, and also I did some work, and now I can also change title bar buttons. Okay, this is the same feature that you were having with the team manager in Ecom Station. But if you remember, the team manager had to reboot to change the graphics. Here, you have a change on the fly. You just change the theme, you click apply, and you have new buttons on the title bar. So it's a completely different system and much easier, and a lot easier to use. Okay. To do this, I used some, yes?
So this text on the right is smaller. Is that scaled in the
Oh no, the size, you have to change the size of images just to show them when here, because it's not the real size, okay? Because otherwise it was too small to show here. So you need to compare on your display the things, okay? To get here, I had to add new code to handle the new graphics engine, but also I used some old code from the Smart Window full product. Okay, so I merged a part of the code from the full product into the small application, into the light application. Oh. I think that the results are quite good, okay, because the text looks really better, really good if you have a high resolution display. And why I choose to use Cairo? Because Cairo is a graphics engine, so it allows you to do a lot of things in the graphics field. It has support for many different things that, for example, are not available in OS2 Presentation Manager, but mainly because it supports aliasing on the text, so you can get a better looking text. I used the text aliasing only for title bars and for buttons, but not for other stuffs. Also, if you use Cairo, you can have transparency support, which is not available on OS2. And another reason to use Cairo is because it is used in Firefox. Okay. That means that Cairo is working well It's a well-tested library, okay? And also, we are maintaining the Cairo source code to the latest level because we need it for Firefox. So I didn't have to get some new libraries to work, okay? I just used what was already running, what was already working well in OS2. And with well, some kind of, a lot of work, I got to this place. Obviously, Well, another reason to use Cairo, it is because it is quite easy to use it. If you look at this, there are two examples here, one for drawing a pattern in a rectangle and another to draw some text. As you can see, it's quite easy to use it because it's a natural language function call, while OS2 Presentation Manager is using very strange function names. You have to do strange things to draw. Here, it's quite simple. You draw a rectangle, you set the color, you fill it. So it's when you know the available function in Cairo, it's quite easy to draw something new. And so you can, if you have some nice idea about how to draw a button, how to draw a title bar, it's quite easy to replace the code and put a new function. So we can add many different things, newer things that are not today available. Okay. As I told you before, not everything is working. I mean, I worked only on title bars and on buttons. So, for example, I'm not supporting icons in the buttons, but usually most applications today are not using small icons inside the button, so this is not a big problem. Oh, another thing that I'm not supporting now is use of bitmaps to draw the button background, because you can get similar results using Cairo functions, because you can draw a shade, you can draw a gradient very easily, so it's not really needed to use a bitmap to change the background. Another problem is the font mapping. Why? Because I'm using a very simple API in Cairo to draw texts. And this API is not supporting, is not doing a very good mapping of fonts from OS2 fonts to Cairo fonts. And so maybe sometimes you select a font and you see a completely different result because the font matching is not working, and maybe Cairo is selecting a different font. So you have to try different OS2 fonts until you find the one that looks good in Cairo, in Cairo. In this regard, there is another API in Cairo which allows a better font matching, but it requires some coding to do a better work. So when I will find some time, I will try to get a better matching. Another problem is with the stack, because Cairo requires a lot of memory to make drawings. So it is not working with the small applets you have in OS2. I mean, older applets that were compiled with a very small stack. In this case, and so you need to exclude this application from the enhancement. Okay. Also, maybe we can try to make the stack bigger. There is also this one, but it depends on how you work. And this is, yeah. Maybe I will find another way to fix this stack issue, but I didn't use too much time to see what's wrong really. So. obviously, there are a lot of things that can be done to have a better enhancement. For example, I can add a theming also for radio and checkboxes. Okay, because checkboxes and radio buttons should be replaced, so you can have a on-the-fly bitmap change also on them. So how you can write a theme for the title bar buttons, for the radio buttons, for the checkboxes, and have a similar look and feel for all presentation manager controls. And I think that this task could be done quite easily. I just need to use the same code for title bar and replace radio buttons, classes, and so on. Another problem is the Windows list program, because well, it works well, but again, it is not able to display UTF-8 texts. So you can see Firefox showing a correct title in its title bar, for example, in Russian. In the Windows list, you get a straight line instead of a title, because the Windows list is not able to show UTF-8. And so a replacement, a new Windows list handler is required, but here I don't know how to write one. Maybe if someone has some ideas, we can try to replace it. And other than radio and checkboxes, there are also other presentation manager controls. But for example, static text. I'm not going to replace also them, because probably it will take a lot of time to repaint the entire Windows for an application. So while repainting a title bar, repainting a button is quite fast, because usually text is very short. If you start replacing all strings inside the window, probably the drawing will get too much slow, okay, and so it's not worth to implement. Usually, given the actual status, I think that replacing a title bar and buttons is already quite enough to see a different looking application. Okay. Oh, this is a very short presentation because Roderick asked me to write one on the fly. Okay, so I tried to do my best. So now at the end, if you have some question.
Are you working on just the light version of this filer, or also the full version, the smart windows or whatever they're called?
On the light version. Yes, because the full version is doing a lot of things, and so I don't think it's good for the average user. I think it's complex also for me because you have a lot of options, while the light application is quite easy to use. You have only to choose the title, the color, okay, the theme, and then you are done. The full product has many things. Who has?
I'm just ignorant. What runs under Caro? Caro as a library runs on top of Alara software. What is done there?
What's the library? No.
Nothing.
What's your
Cairo is a library.
Right. And it issues direct commands
No, No,
on the...
it's a direct bitmap manipulation library.
So it's using a bitmap model
Internally,
on the screen.
yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Cairo is when you use Cairo function, it is drawing to an internal memory. Okay. And when you ask him, he is splitting this internal memory to the OS2 presentation manager window.
So when Caro starts, you give it the presentation, the presentation space handle, and then Caro does the rest.
No, it's bitmap and you have to split it to the
Okay,
video.
do everything,
So
yes.
it's direct memory transfer.
No, you just do a bitmap split. So you don't need to do other things. You just ask Cairo to redraw the surface, and he does a bitmap split to the surface, to the presentation space you are giving. That's all. This is why I was telling before that Cairo is very easy to use, because you just write your functions and you tell, okay, show it. It's very easy, and you don't need to care about aliasing and many other things. For example, I didn't put in the presentation, but now I have, for example, also the buttons with round borders. Instead of a very rectangle, I have added round corners. Sorry, it was quite easy to do. So, other questions? No?
Well, is there any way around the problem of the small applets, other than telling it not to work on them? In other words, like volume control, for instance, didn't have enough, you said stack space.
I don't rise your level.
You said that the reason the small applets would crash is because they didn't have enough space, stack space?
You mean space in the control, you mean?
Yeah, like the volume control is one of those applets that would crash.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Even the full slider will crash.
Okay. Yes, but probably they are crashing for the same reason, because these enhancements are adding new functions inside the drawing code, and this requires more memory. And the Cairo requires more memory than the other, yes.
So is there any way around that, or is the only option going to be?
But I remember there was a tool to raise the stack size on applications. In the toolkit there was some program to do this, but I need to check. Because if this tool works, we can just use this tool to change the stack size on all the programs we know that are failing. Exceeder, yes. Yeah, but I tried to use it and I didn't get. I got a not working application at all. So maybe it corrupted something, or I used the wrong parameters for it. No. Other questions? Oh. Okay. Thank you for attention.
It seems that the new developments in the OS2 community with Arkanoa announcing in Warpstock, Kansas, gave a definitive reverse in the trends that were occurring in the OS2 community, which was sadly a decline. We saw the amount of Warpstock visitors, attendees dropping. At Warpstock in Kansas, the board was at the point of deciding if there would maybe be a Warpstock US still next year. That's how far the OS2 community was at the point of collapsing due to the fact that effectively nothing was happening on the OS2 front. until Ark Noah picked up the pace again. The announcement of the OEM contract with IBM that Ark Noah was able to obtain also resulted in the Warpstock board getting renewed enthusiasm for Warpstock US. Of course, it also gave a motivation for me to continue with Warpstock on this side of the Atlantic and with the voice activities. Now that Ark OS is out, we're seeing a renewed interest. And this was last minute announced. Arnold recently retired, and as Lewis has said, would you like to do something for OS2? It's not going to be as grandeur as it was in the 1990s, where it ran on preloaded systems. But what we're at least seeing is that we're getting a big new interest in the OS2 community. We see the amount of attendees for Warpstock going up. We're basically the same as last year. And Arnold wants to have a small announcement about starting a new company providing OS2 services to the OS2 community. Please.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this opportunity. As you can see, it's a pre-announcement, so it's a little bit too early, but I wouldn't forgo the opportunity to make you aware of what is about to be going to happen. And so may I have the next slide? So this is about the vision. This is not about products, but if you remember one of the slides of Lewis yesterday, he made mention of the possibility of creating versions of Arca OS on physical media, on installation media, and that's one of the things that we are aiming for. And another one is the possibility that you can order a laptop with Arca OS pre-installed. And so we think there is an opportunity in the market for that, and we are investigating to see how that can be made possible. And maybe there are some other products that Lewis suggested yesterday. And well, this is also an opportunity for you to make suggestions on what kind of products would you like to be on the market. Would you maybe buy, or would you see potential for distributing? We are considering that possibilities, and as I say, it's all premature yet, but it may be happening very soon now once Arca OS is out. Keep in mind that we do have to be in line with the license restrictions that IBM put on Arca Noah. So that's basically that's all what I wanted to say. And any questions? Yes.
But how you will compete with other if you install Arcaos to computer, to laptop? How you will sell these laptops? It will be very expensive.
It will be on the web shop, and
because Windows computers include computers in simple shops include Windows, and the cost of Windows
that's one of the complications. We are working on that.
The price of Windows is, I don't know, $20, but you should pay.
Yeah, I understand, but
200 to Arcaos. So
you may not have the latest models. Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Well, that kind of wraps up Warpstock Europe. I still owe you an answer on the quiz. I'll be honest, I botched it up. It's a mishap. The sole reason for doing the quiz was I wanted to try something else at least. So that was the intention, to come up with something new and original, which hadn't been tried yet. Experiment failed. So I'll look at the scores, I'll look what it was done online, but basically I've got an impossible score, because when you registered online, again, and here then comes the bit again, if there's anybody in the room that would like to organize Warpstock Europe, be my guest. But I've kept pulling the Warpstock freight train for the last 7 consecutive years. It's possible thanks to the Voice Foundation. We have money in the bank. One of the positive signs also again, and these are all of the small signs that you see that the community decline is stopped and has been reversed by Ark Noah. I guess that of the about $2,000 that we paid for the Warpstock location here, rough estimate is that roughly 80 to 90% of the costs are covered, but Voice also keeps sponsoring Bitwise Works and other small initiatives to keep the community going. The only thing I can say is that money keeps the clockwork running. So I'll get back to the quiz later. I don't know if I can come up with a solution, and otherwise we'll just hold a lottery over the email, and the one that gets the number correct gets the jacket and the elephant. I guess that's a fairer way than going with this quiz outcome. So next year I'll try and do a better job at it. I can say that during the lunch break, I asked, well, where are we going to do it next year? I guess I'm crazy already discussing it. We haven't even had the chance to wrap up here. But somebody suggested Berlin. So the chance is very big that after having done it for years in the Ruhr area and in the Netherlands, now it's maybe a chance to move further to the east and give some of the people in East Germany and Austria, etc., and the Czech Republic a chance to visit Warpstock. So I'm going to look for a suitable location in Berlin. For the Dutch people, there's also an excellent 2-hour train intercity connection that leaves from Amsterdam directly to Berlin Hauptbahnhof. So if you reserve in advance and book it together, it gets extremely cheap for probably 50 or 60 euros round trip ticket. So we'll look at that location. It's just a plan, nothing is fixed, but I've got another year to plan it. That brings me to the point of saying thank you, Andy Willis, for coming. Last minute, Ark Noah arranged for him to come over. He's not jet lagged completely, but he'll probably crash and burn later this week. And Dimitri and Eugene for coming as well. They came from Russia. That's also pretty far distance. Most of us will probably be home within the next 24 hours or less even. Thank you for Jeroen for doing the audio and video and keeping me on track with my schedule. In the end, thank you for coming. This is all a labor of love. I'd like to keep contributing to keeping OS2 moving forward. The release of Arca OS has definitively, I think, reversed that decline. I understood from Lewis that the results have been overwhelming. We've been on Slashdot with Arca OS. We've been on, there's an article on, I think it was Tech Republic. I also understood, I met James Saunders from, oh sorry, no, it's not Tech Republic, apologies. It's another ICT website. What's the one from the UK again? Yes, the Register. They had an article. James Saunders I've been in touch with. I met him at Warpstock US in Kansas, and he's also going to do a write-up about Arca OS. So in terms of keeping OS2 alive and being it visible to the main public, I don't know if you have seen on OS2 World the result that the first 2 articles of Tech Republic had, but it was literally all over the globe in Chinese, Brazilian IT pages, IT blogs. You can see it on OS2 World. There were probably anywhere from 20 to 30 articles being published resulting Arc OS. So at least it shows that the light is still burning and that new development is occurring. Again, thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your stay here, and I'll hopefully see you all next year in good health. Thank you.